I'm just getting started, and it's good to see you all. And this might sound like a silly question at a drum clinic, but how many drummers are here? Don't be shy, raise those hands. I know you're a drummer. I know you're a drummer. Yeah, okay. Any drummers hiding out, pretending to be bass players? Yeah! Now there is a supreme bass player right there. As a matter of fact, this is quite, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Is my voice carrying? Is this thing on? Right over here. Right. You haven't given me a lot of leeway. What, you afraid I'm going to come out and bite? Tell you what, here we go. I need some length here. Probably not the first time you've heard that. Oh, shit. That was for the kids, by the way. So, kids, these two lesbians walking to a bar. Anyway, you can't hear me, can you? Right, yeah? Is that a yes? You can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I was just going to say that there's actually some dauntingly good musicians in the audience tonight. Some of my favorites. A wonderful singer-songwriter that I haven't actually seen in a long time, but is absolute dynamite, supreme talent, Linda Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And she's fine, too. Oh, yeah. Right, and also, one of my favorite bands, and I'm not just saying that because they're here and they're friends of mine and I owe them money, but we've got Jules and Steve from Little Vegas right there. I've just seen them last week and they were dynamite, so and Steve always catches all my mistakes, so he'll probably tell me about them later. So, yeah, good to have this kind of talent, and of course, let's hear it for this cat right here, Lee Davies, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, really good. Okay, I am going to, just before you inundate me with all these questions that you have about the art of drumming, about my hair and my career, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about that drum kit right there, yeah? Very similar to this kit right here, in that they're made by the same manufacturer. You've already heard his name today, Craig Cockrell, right there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the guy that makes these kits. And it's not just a matter of the guy who makes good musical instruments, he does, but he's an innovator as well, because of the composite that makes up these shells. They're not wood, they're not just acrylic, they are, they're corian. Right? The material corian, if you're not familiar with it, if I have this right, Craig, please just correct me, but as I remember it, corian is a composite of acrylic, of metal, that's aluminum, right? But it's still metal, so it counts. And mineral, which, I read as rock! So you've got rock, you've got metal, and you've got acrylic, okay? All the coolest materials. And no wood whatsoever. You don't really need it. You've got it here, right here. You've already got wood. So let's have this one. That's all you got. Yeah, that was for the kids as well, folks. Okay, so I know it's like Bobby Arechiga stand-up comedy hour. Thank you. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, I personally am a huge fan of these shells because they project, they have nuances, which is why I wanted to use the mallets in the first part of this little introductory solo, so you can hear the tone. You get quite a bit of sort of timpani-esque tone. You also get a bit of African slit drum type of tone when these are off. So I wanted to highlight that with the mallets. Also, when you use the rods, yeah, which is sort of multi-skinny sticks, you get quite a different tone. So, can you hear the differences there, folks? Yeah? So, the composite corian is conducive to all those different sounds and dynamics. Check this out, with the snare on. I'm just tapping that. And I can you still hear the snares?
Yeah.
I can still hear the snares rattling. If you try that with a wood or a metal drum, you're hard pressed to actually get that kind of conduit between the batter head and the resonant head. Which means these guys are really sensitive, and they're like a superconductor, right? And I don't mean like the guy that works for trains. You know what I'm saying? Just like when I utter the word polyrhythm, I don't mean like the type of rhythm that a parrot might use. I'm going to keep this position until I get another laugh. But these kids of today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I can't help you. You get a mic and some lights, and I just turn into a complete goofball. But I am actually quite serious about drums and drumming, okay? So don't let my goofball-like sort of stance scare you into not asking questions. I want you to ask questions. But, who knows? Before I take questions, right, I know you got plenty of them, I'd also like to talk about the cymbals I'm using. And, you know, Lee, he's got great taste, because he's using the same cymbals I am. And he's using minor cymbals. Ja, das ist minor. They are German, okay? We won't hold that against them. You know, they are quite efficient when they come to cymbal construction. And I know that there's a lot of great cymbal makers out there. I just like these guys for, well, the main reason is they're the masters of all the different alloys, right? And as much as I really like Zildjian cymbals, they do amazing B20 alloys. Does anybody know about the who's a metallurgist in the audience, ladies and gentlemen? It's just a different alloy, right? They're bronze, and it's a mix between copper and tin. Okay, so a B8 alloy is 8% tin to the rest copper, right? Zildjian cymbals, the golden wonders that we know, they're B20s, so there's 20% tin, right? Bless them, they can't make a B8 save their life, even though they're the masters of B20, right? Paiste, some of my other favorite cymbals, they are the masters of B8, evidenced by their 2002 range. A finer cymbal you'd be hard-pressed to find, right? But, and it would be unfair to say they can't make a B20 because they do make really nice B20s, right? But I'm kind of a fan of the renegade alloys, B10 and B12. These are B12. So, as my illustrious compadre here, French Freddie Merlet, and he's called that because he's Polish. He's not, he's actually French. I'm going to have to start calling myself American Bob. He's also a great technician on, which is why he's a drum tech. But he can tell you the properties of the different alloys and the way they interact with amplified music or even unamplified music. So B12s have the best of both worlds, right? They have the warmth and the volume and the breadth that a B20 has, but they also have the cut and the punch and the attack of the B8s. That's why I'm liking them. And they give them to me for free. Now, see, that's unfair, because Zildjian gave them to me for free for 9 years, and I still went with these, because I like them, right? So I'm just kind of heading off in a joking fashion the criticisms. You're just saying that because you get them for free. I got them for free anyway. Yeah? When you've been in this business as long as I have, folks, and I've been around, let me tell you, because I'm old, basically, you do have the luxury of picking and choosing. So I can pick and choose whatever I want, and I want these. Okay, there's the hard stuff out of the way. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever?
Bob,
yes.
When you talk about different materials,
yes,
are they always going to be wooden sticks?
No. You actually do
Does that
get
make a difference?
Sorry?
Does that make a difference, you know? That
it makes a difference to the people using the sticks, right? Some people like a lighter stick like maple. Some people like a classic stick, which is, most sticks are made of American hickory. You know, I had to laugh. I saw this, and no disrespect from us colonials, but I saw an advert for 100% British sticks made out of 100% American hickory. You know, it's that kind of thing. It really doesn't make a difference. Whatever feels good in your hand, and I know everything at a drum clinic sounds filthy. Whatever feels good in your hand, right? Fanar. But really, it's the truth. You know, what size sticks you use, whether they're wood, whether they're maple, oak, or American hickory. You also get nylon. You know how you get nylon tip sticks? Well, there's a head sticks which have a nylon sheath. plastic, they've got an aluminum grip. I mean, it all depends on what you like and how you like the tip to react to the surface. I like just natural wood. I like American hickory. Although I do like some of the Japanese oak sticks. Tama makes them. Some people like a little bit of a brighter tone, so they use nylon tips. Yeah? So it's really, like so many things in music, it's what you like.
So there's no substitute for wood, that's what I'm trying to get at. You know, there's been some experimentation with different alloys and things, and drum kits and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and some people would argue, the people that like the plastic sticks or aluminium sticks even,
Yeah.
some people would say, yeah, this is the substitute.
Right.
But it's all a personal thing. I think you're right in that the majority still go for the wooden sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah? There's also carbon fiber.
Right.
Some let them out, you know.
Right.
So, yeah, it all depends on what you like. You know, shop with your hands, basically. Yeah? Any other questions?
Bobby?
Yes.
In the
I love you, by the way. Okay.
In the real world, when you're on a limited budget,
Yeah.
and if you could only afford to invest in a couple of cymbals,
Right.
which would you pick?
Very good question.
I don't mean the make.
The make, yes. And,
No, I don't mean the make.
I got that, yeah.
The
I'll tell you what I would do. If I was on a limited budget and I can only get a couple of cymbals, what I would probably get, when you're talking a couple, you're talking about a hi-hat and one cymbal, or are you talking about a hi-hat and two
I'm
cymbals?
asking you what you would do.
A hi-hat and two cymbals, right? And what I would do,
Apart from
because
picking
like,
you up to see what you got.
yeah, well, like Lee intimated earlier, he uses different sticks, different heads, different cymbals for different musical situations, yeah? If I had to sort of like pick just, you know, one all-around ride that's going to cover it for everything, I would pick like a 20-inch, this is 22, that's 20 right there, right? But that's not a ride, that's a heavy crash, a powerful crash. I would probably go for a medium weight cymbal, so you can crash it as well, and it's not going to be too harsh sounding, yeah? I'd probably go for medium to thin crashes, because that'll fit most musical styles, yeah? And maybe the same thing for the hi-hats. If I got powerful hi-hats, it wouldn't really sit right for other musical styles, yeah? So I'd go medium, and I'd go the standard sort of classic circumference, 20 for the ride, 18 for a crash, or 16 for a crash, and 14s for a hi-hat, yeah? Ooh, Christmas is coming up. Don't let it give too much away! Sorry. Does that kind of answer it?
Thank you.
Yeah? And if, by the way, and you know, this isn't just for you, honey. I've got a website, BobbyArechiga.com. Who knew? Right? And, you know, feel free to visit. But also, if you have any questions that you don't remember the answer to, ask me there. Right? Also, any exercises that I'm about to show you, right? If you can't remember them, ask me there. I'll send you a page. Cool? Right on. Okay, here's another thing I also get asked. Not all of us have more cymbals and drums than God himself. So, you know, how do you go on? Actually, as daunting as this kit might look, it's really only a sort of like a Buddy Rich, John Bonham drum set, right? But it's ×2, right? This kit is a right-handed rock kit. Right-handed, I'm leading with my right hand, and I've got rock-sized kits. 14, 13, 16, 18, 24, hi-hats, 5 cymbals, yeah, and I've got an auxiliary hat here, just for the fun of it, yeah? However, I've also got a left-handed kit. That's this white kit here. And I've got a 10-inch snare. And when the snare's on, it sounds like this. 8-inch tom. 10-inch floor tom, even though it's like rack-mounted. And 12-inch floor tom. And a 20-inch bass drum. You know my left hand? A funny sax ride. Yeah, so really, it's not that many drums. It's like your classic 5-piece. It's just like ×2. I just like the options that it affords me, especially if I'm using it like today, kind of like a solo instrument. Yeah? But even if I'm playing in a band, I can like sort of maybe play the verse with you know, a hip-hop type of sound, and maybe the chorus with rock type of sound. Yeah? So you said you could hear me without this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes don't know what to do with my hands. My hands are doing. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and say hello to you. How's it going? Everyone, I'll shake every one of your hands. How you doing? I'm just kidding. I'm just going to sit down here, and before the questions start to fly, I'm just going to tell you kind of how I approach Cymbal the kit. Now, Lee has covered quite a bit of this stuff, and, you know, more sage words were never spoken. Everything he said was absolute gospel because he is a badass drummer. I love you, man. Love you. Right on. Okay, so, I love a lot of people. Okay, so as far as practice, he was talking about when you practice and the tendency to want to perform something you're already good at, right? And if you're already a self-taught and maybe even seasoned player, it's kind of hard to teach that old dog new tricks, yeah? But, as he says, if you go on YouTube and look at, you know, snare drum technique, pedal technique, balance, there's a wealth of information out there that's extremely helpful about all this stuff, yeah? I'm going to impart some of that to you right now, just from my own humble experience, yeah? To each their own, I'm just using these as a guide. If somebody says to you, this is the only way to play, then, you know, take it with a grain of salt. You know, there's not only one way to play. There's not only one way to hold sticks. You know, you can hold sticks any way you want as long as it's comfortable. Yeah? But I think there are certain bullet points and like sort of landmarks to look for that are going to make it easy for you to play. And that's what we're after, is making the instrument easier for you to play. Yeah? And it starts with balance, grip, and control. So, if I think of the balance, the first thing I'm thinking of is, where am I going to sit? If I'm going to play that kit, this probably isn't the best place for me to be sitting, is it? Yeah? I mean, I might get lucky and hit a drum. Yeah? Likewise, what's wrong with this picture? I'd say I'm a little too close, right? I'm not insulting your intelligence, it's just my goofy way of stating the obvious, right? So what you want to do is think of this. You want to think as you sat down, right? Move your feet till your toes are sort of underneath your knees. Yeah? Those of you that are going to have to play a drum kit, try this. And then try and tap your foot. Try it. And you. It's kind of hard to tap your foot, isn't it? Do you feel like some strain going on right here? However, if you move your heel to where it's just above or forward of the knee, easy to tap your feet. Yeah? So that's kind of like nature's way of telling you, sit a little bit farther back from the kit so you're not right on top of your lower leg. Yeah? So you might, you know, whether you sit low down, I just know a guy, a great drummer. What's his name? Davies. Yeah, he wasn't too Italian, was he? And in the States. And he sat so low that his thighs were, you know, heading skyward. Yeah? And likewise, Buddy Rich, Ringo Starr, Bernard Purdy, three, like, world-class drummers, they sit really high, almost to where, like, they're sort of, you know, downward angle. I kind of like Lee was talking about, if you go parallel as a start, and then if you want to sit a little bit lower or sit a little bit higher, it's your own personal choice. But, what do we got here? But, what's that word? If you sort of give yourself a little bit of a forward angle, see there's a little forward angle there on my lower leg, I can tap. Right now, my body balance is into the heels, right? And if I want to sort of like keep my balance on the pedals, so I can play up here, I'm not going to hang on to the drums or the seat or anything like that and go, because I'm off balance, yeah? If everyone just puts their hands up right now, like this, right? Now give me your wallets. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, you got your hands up, right? Now, okay, and if you move your knees all the way to your chest, both of them at the same time. Ready? Okay. Not going to happen, is it? You're going to fall over. Someone's going to fall in love with you. Something's going to happen, right? So if you do that, right, you're like a turtle on its back. Your balance is all shot, right? So you want your balance to be with the seat, with the feet, yeah? So right now, my balance is in the heels. So I can do that forward leg, forward lower leg, and tap. Or I can just push gently forward and close them in. That's making an unwanted sound. And it's because there's zildjians. You wouldn't get this one, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I'm tapping forward. Now, I'm gonna, my heels are still down. My body balance is into the heels, but now I'm gonna tap rather than push forward. So I get that more open legato sound, rather than the clip staccato sound. If I want a little bit more power, I'm going to shift from my heels, my body balance is going to shift from my heels into the balls of my feet. And for those of you who are wondering, the balls of your feet are those pads underneath your toes, yeah? It's always kind of a funny phrase, isn't that? Balls of your feet, you know? I won't go into it any further. But really, it's these pads right here, right? I'm going to put my body weight, my considerable body weight, I'm going to put into the balls of my feet, yeah? So now, I'm not going to lift my heels up to where it's bunching up my calf muscle. What I'm going to do is just let them hover, yeah? So I might just leave the hi-hat closed, leave the beater tucked into the bass drum, and I'm going to tap my heels up and down. Without making a hi-hat sound, without making a bass drum sound, you're only just going to hear my heels hitting the heel plates on the pedal. Yeah, now, if I want a sound, I'm just going to sort of skip up and let the weight down on the balls of my feet. This way, I'm not lifting my leg up from a sitting position here, and lifting my leg up from a sitting position here. I'm pushing up from the toes. So when I'm doing that, I'm playing some patterns on the pedals, but my balance isn't compromised, so I can play some goodies up on top. Are you with me on that, folks? Right? So body balance into the pedals is really an important thing. Your whole body balance in relation to the drum kit, also an important thing. When it comes to the hands and the sticks, same thing. Balance. Okay, more intelligence insulting. I'm going to hold the stick back here. Kind of just dies, doesn't it? You don't see a lot of drummers doing this. With or without this face. Right? Likewise, you don't see a lot of drummers doing this. Because they would be slapped first and then thrown out of the band. Just read a goofball. Right? So you want the best balance point on the stick. Yeah? I'm going to go for a balance point on the stick. That looks pretty balanced, doesn't it? Yeah? Unfortunately, it's not doing anything for me. I want the stick to do half my work for me. Yeah? So if I go like this, and now there's three parts of the stick. The forward part, the middle part, the back part. I'm going to go for the back part, and I'm going to set that back third in that first notch of my index finger. It can't wait to do some work for me. Look at that, just bouncing all over the place. Yeah? Okay, so you hear when it bounces, and then at the very end it buzzes, right? Like a coin on a table. Buzzola, right? That's where you get this, folks. Press roll, buzz roll. drummers like Buddy Rich, like Ian Pace from Deep Purple, right? Michael Shreve from Santana. They do a press roll. And I'd think, wow, they're going really fast. So I go, and it wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Then I saw them on television, and I realized that their hands were hardly moving. That's how fast my hands are moving there. It's that balance and the stick on the surface rebounding, and you allowing it to rebound, that's giving you that. Here comes the highlight rack. Oh, he just fell. How rude. Okay, there's the press roll, right? It's not just for the circus, folks. Okay, so this is why I will let the stick be my balance and I'll hold it in the back third. I don't always have to hold it there, it's just a starting point, yeah? Sometimes if I'm playing repeated strokes, I'll keep it there and I'll let my back fingers do the bouncing. If I start to play, I'm now kind of in the first notch of my second finger because I want the stick to rebound. For reasons Lee talked about, you don't want to grip too tight because it's going to hurt. The energy is going to come back into your hand and it's going to hurt. And it's going to cause all kinds of problems. I don't want to be hurt. I've been hurt before. So, I'm going to let the stick rebound. Going to hang on to it while it's rebounding. Right? And if I'm playing loud, I'm now kind of in the back, right? I used to think of John Bonham, and I probably ruined this. I used to think John Bonham was crap. Okay, and sacrilege, you can't say that. But, you know, I was 15 then, I could think whatever I wanted to. You know, I owned the world at 15. And I was like, Bonham, slop. He's drunk. You know, how does he get those amazing things? Drunk. That's how he gets those backbeats. Yeah? And I see his technique and I think, like, can't even hold the sticks right. Ian Pace holds them like that. And we all know Ian Pace is a far superior drummer. Right? And it wasn't until I started to actually delve into technique and hear the masters like Freddie Gruber and Jim Chapin, Joe Morello talk about things like Moeller technique, George Lawrence Stone technique, and Jim Chapin in particular would talk about Moeller grip. Phase 1, first notch of the forefinger. Phase 2, the second 2 fingers. And phase 3, the back fingers. I thought, oh, that's how John Bonham held his sticks. Oh, that actually was good. Yeah? And then as with a more mature ear, I'd start to listen to him and think, oh, okay, he has a lot of subtleties in his playing. And that he's playing some stomping monster grooves. Maybe he's not crap. Maybe he's really good. And of course, we all now know that John Bonham is one of the greatest that ever lived. Yeah? So your musical perceptions will change as you get older, and certainly as you get wiser. You know, I've thought this about a great many drummer. You know, that guy's no good. And then, you know, later in life I wound up loving him because he's obviously amazing. You know, so technique, I guess, is what took me there. John Bonham played a lot like this. Don't take my word for it. Check out the Led Zeppelin DVD remasters, 1970 Albert Hall, and you get a really good shot of him using this grip. And he famously really didn't have a lot of tuition. So, you know, he was doing something right kind of naturally. Right, okay, that's probably about as much as I'm going to say on my own about technique. Anybody else have any questions about that?
Bobby, did you have a lot of tuition?
No, but yes. Okay, and I'll tell you what that means. I was 13 when I started to get interested in drums. I was 15 when I got my first kit. So for 2 years I was air drumming and pestering my father for a drum kit. Right? Once I got to 15 and I got a kit, I got the Luchetti drum and guitar in Albuquerque. Right? I got my first kit and it came with 4 free lessons. And I went to the lessons and I walked in the door, and I saw 2 kits set up. And I was like, yeah! And the guy, the teacher, grabbed my shoulder and said, you're going there. And there was this like lonely seat with a lonely little rubber practice pad. And he goes, you're going to master 26 American rudiments, yeah, at 200 BPM, and you're going to play them. And he actually got a quarter out, which is about the size of a 10p, drew around it, and said, you're going to play them all striking in that one zone right there. And then I'll consider letting you on the snare drum, and then the kick. I just thought, that's no fun, right? So I went home to my dad, and I went, Dad, I don't like these lessons. He's going, oh, okay, but they're free lessons, right? I went, yeah, how many? 4. Go to the 4. If you don't like them after that, don't go, right? So, which is kind of the way I teach now, is I want to know what the student wants out of the lesson, yeah? Not what I will force upon him, yeah? So that put me off of going to lessons forever. And the guy even said, like, you know, what's the matter with you, man? Nothing. I'm 15. I own the world. You know? And he goes, don't you want to be a good drummer? I want to be the best. Well, what do you want out of these lessons? I want to know how Ian Paice from Deep Purple does that rolling thunder sound at the beginning of Pictures of Home. And he was like, rock. Okay, here's how good your hair was, Bobby. He goes like this. There. That's the big mystery. And he said it really condescendingly, so I went like, that's it. So I didn't go back to lessons. I just thought all teaching was like that. But when I also say yes, I mean that I met a great many generous and great drummers in my travels throughout my life, and they showed me a multitude of great things. Some I listened to, some I didn't, until later, you know. Woo! Excuse me. I think I just said too long of a sentence there. Let me get some water. Anybody have another question? Because I'm loving these. Yes?
I've seen you play many times over the years. When I first saw you play, you didn't have 2 bass drums, you had just a 1 bass drum.
Yes.
One thing I liked, I've talked to you at length about this, but I think I might have impacted some of the people here, your bass drum technique and what you can play with 1 bass drum.
Right on, dude. Okay.
Those were the days when you used to play the stage.
Yes.
When you ran out of kit.
Do you remember that? You've seen that a few times. Yeah. I was young and I was drunk. So yeah, what you're asking is like playing a single pedal, which actually I still consider myself a single pedal player, even though because I have a right side and a left side, there's 2 there. I kind of like doing a bit of the rolling thunder stuff. But as far as single pedal stuff goes, again, one of my heroes is Ian Paice from Deep Purple, and I distinctly remember a song called "Strange Kind of Woman," and he was doing like a lot of work with his bass drum. At 15, I was like, I couldn't do that. So I was like, no, I wasn't doing that. So then I started to get mad, impatient, and I'd just go, come on, do it, come on. So angry, and then it started to happen. Yeah, let that be a lesson to you, bass drum. It couldn't be me. Obviously, it isn't my fault. It's faulty equipment. When I look back on the 15-year-old me, I'm thinking like, it wasn't the anger and the attitude that got me there. It was actually playing it slow and deliberate. And there's certain things, as far as speed goes, that kind of become inherent in the fact that you're actually playing faster. Like if I play like a John Bonham style, I do love him. I do love him now, right? If those triplets that he plays. those triplets, I'm not going to lift my leg up and put myself off balance and try and play a double stroke, which is what I used to do. Because you're sort of like, because you're off balance, your ankle goes wobbly. So I'm going to get both those triplet notes. 1, 2, 3. Deliberately, I'm going to stomp on them both. And watch what happens. You've seen people slide their foot when they play fast on the pedal. You ever seen that? If you haven't seen it, check this out. I don't know when it's going to happen. I want you all, I'm not even going to look at my pedal. I want you to raise your hands when you see it happen. I'm going to go from just doing this, and after a certain speed, in order to let the beater come back, my foot's going to slide back and forth, right? I don't know what speed it's going to happen, so, and I'm not going to look. I want you to raise your hands when it happens. You see that? Okay, you can practice that as a motion. You can go 1, back, forth, 1, back, forth, 1, back, forth. Or you can just sort of like keep leaning into each deliberate note, straight up and down. And it does actually get easier. This is the thing though, it takes some patience. You know, if one technique doesn't work for you, you know, don't move on to the next one. You really need to like keep going with it because it does take some repetition. I remember asking Wilbur, who was the guitar player of my old band Strongheart, and he'd play C to he'd play C to G on a guitar really quick, you know. And for you guitar players, it probably means nothing to you, but for a drummer, I'm like C. Okay, now I want to go G. Right. G. Looks very rude, not G. But that, trust me, that's the position, right? So I'm going, Wilbur, show me the secret, man. Impart like the universal secret of going C to G. He goes, okay, what are you doing? So he'd sit in front of me and I go, first I go C. And I look up at him, he's going, then what? And I go G. And I didn't hear anything from him, so I looked up, he's looking right at me, he's going, that's right. And he called me a name, and it wasn't very nice. And he goes, keep practicing, there's no shortcuts. So he was a dear friend of mine, and he was kidding, kind of. But there are no shortcuts. I mean, there are things that you can do to make it easier while you're practicing, such as having your balance sorted out, all the things we talked about. But when it comes to actually gaining the speed, the power, and control, there's no substitute for... I'm doing there, that's like a paradiddle diddles. And Lee was talking about paradiddles, double paradiddles. All the diddle rudiments are great to practice to. And you can practice them with your hands, you can practice them right side, left side, or you can practice them hands versus feet. And if I go paradiddle diddle, which paradiddle, right? You can think right, left, right, left, left. But for me, it's a little bit, when you get faster, I mean, it's nice to know what that sticking is. When you get faster, right, left, right, left, it's like red, lower, yellow, lower, it's like a tongue twister. Yeah? So if I think pa is a single stroke, ra is the other single stroke, diddle is a double. Even sounds like double. Diddle. Paradiddle. Paradiddle. All of a sudden, I'm from New York over here. Paradiddle, right? So it just sounds like that to me. You can take any paradiddle pattern, paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle, right? So I'm going to go paradiddle. Me and Billy, the bass player from Strongheart, used to drive our cars up Sepulveda Boulevard in the valley, and we used to honk our horns at paradiddles. So, you know, and it would really honk people off. But we go, like people go like, shut up! Right? And you can actually do that, you know, yourself between hands and feet. If you go paradiddle little, so So you're playing an extra diddle on the bass drum. That's fun. You know what I mean? And I'm keeping my balance happening for the doubles and the singles there, yeah? So, questions, folks?
I would suggest that you're not thinking about what you're doing there. So it's happening because
Yes, and you'd ask Lee the same question. He gave you a really good answer.
Yeah.
Basically, he was talking about like the difference between practicing and performing. And the key is like, you know, our buddy Thomas Lang, a fellow Meinl brother, Meinl Cymbal's brother, he said it best when he said nothing at all. No, I'm just kidding. I cracked me up. He said it best when he said, when you practice, don't play. Just control motion. Yeah? So if I'm practicing this figure, I'm going... I'm keeping my arms up because I want the balance proper. I mean, if you do that in front of your friends, they're just going to go, what's with all this, you goofball? Stop it. You know what I mean? But I'm just controlling motion. I want exaggerated motion. Once I put in the hard work and played that, getting the motion, even before I even look at a metronome, I'm just going to get the mechanics of the balance. Once that becomes comfortable, there's 6 notes there, so it's got that little bit of a shuffle feel. Yeah? Then I'll break out the metronome and start playing it to that, voicing it around the kit, orchestrating it around, and then maybe like putting some double strokes in, singles, and then make some music out of it. Dynamics. There you go. Okay? So, and I would approach that same way, that same method of practicing for everything. And you can guarantee that I'm going to go home and I'm going to take that 3-2, 3-1, 3-2, no, 3-1-2. Yeah? 3-2, 3-1, 3-1-2. I'm going to practice the heck out of that. Honestly. You know?
3-1, 3-2. As a bass player, I would pay attention.
Oh, there you go. See, well, I'll ask Jules. Right, so, was there another question?
If you had the chance to build a robot that's a perfect drummer, what elements of other drummers that have inspired you would you take?
What a great question.
That's a great question, and do we have something for this amazing question? Surely, okay. My first answer to that question is, for starters, the robot's going to have to look like this. I'll tell you what. You could, if I'm building my own robot, because my robot might not be the same type of robot as your robot. My robot's going to have my heroes in it, right? So I probably have in my robot, I have. That was a great question, man.
I'm telling you now.
That was awesome.
Shadi said after the doing, man.
Oh, but you should have told me after the practice.
I'm telling you right now. So my robot would have great dynamics. Are you listening to me, or are you like checking out your goodies? All right, just kidding. It would have, my robot would have great dynamics, great control, great feel. And Lee said a great many like sage, wise words. But he also said, no matter what type of music you like, listen to all different kinds of music, because there's always elements in all kinds of music that are gonna improve your own drumming. So my robot would listen to everything, and then he would practice, you know, with a balanced grip and control, and he played with a lot of other robots that were good musicians. Yeah, that helps, because you can be amazing, but you're really only as amazing as the sound you make with other musicians. If you're not doing a solo performance, you know, I love doing solo performances, but I really love to play with other musicians. That's the most fun. So yeah, my robot would be the entire rhythm section of Santana, the first 3 albums. It would be Bernard Purdie, Buddy Rich, Thomas Lang, and every other drummer that you can possibly name. That would be my perfect robot. Great question. Right, yes?
How long did you practice for?
That's another great question. I practiced, actually, it ain't over yet. I'm still practicing. Seriously. If I had to take one day, some days I might get 3 hours of practice in. You know, just because I'm at the drum room where that guy lives, and I'll get on there and I'll have some time. And it's not like when I was younger, I wanted to just, play. And, I didn't really want to do the hard work. So I'd play, and then I'd go out with my friends, and tell them I'm a drummer, When I got into a band, and the first of many bands, I practiced a lot more because I had to learn songs. And then eventually I had to create drum parts for songs, so the practicing became more about that. Now that I do a lot of teaching, and I do a lot of session work, I practice all the things that I need to practice. So sometimes it might be 3 hours, sometimes it might be 10 minutes. But 10 minutes, you can get a lot of practice in 10 minutes, even if it's just this. I'm on my pedal, I'm into the balls of my feet, I want to stomp down, strike with the balls of my feet, and land on my heel. So the beater comes out. Then I'm going to push forward into the balls of my feet, and now my heel's back up. Yeah? I might practice that for 10 minutes. This is one of those controlling your motion things, right? Then somebody will knock on the door, and they'll come in and they'll go, "Oh, I thought you had a student in here." And what they mean is, "Oh, I thought you were supposed to be good." And I'm going like this. So they'll come in and they'll go like... And then they'll leave and I'll go... Because playing and practicing, 2 entirely different things. Yeah? So, if I may, I'll listen to Steve Walker ask a
I have a
question.
question on this. We've talked many times about muscle memory. Can you explain what that means to people?
Yes, and this goes back to why I would practice something slowly and deliberately. It's like I got a baby, right? And the baby's 4 months, right there. And there's a little sort of bouncy little baby seat, right? Hey kid, this is a drum key, right? What I want you to do is start with the resonant heads, right? And tune them until everything's evenly, And then I want you to go to the batter heads, and then try them with a mallet first, and then maybe with some rods, okay? And the baby's just looking at you, doesn't know what you're saying, is drooling and stuff like that. You've got to teach the baby, right, to understand what you're doing. You know what I mean? So maybe down the line when the baby's learning how to walk, you hold its little underarm and you let it feel the weight of its legs, and it walks, and then I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, so it might be a thing, I don't know. Hermaphrodite, who knows? That was for the kids, by the way. So then the baby learns to walk, it learns to run, you teach them to ride a bike, right? Swim. You're swimming, it's splash, drown, right? You got to have someone show you how to swim. Yeah? The same thing with drumming, same thing with biking. So once you do those exaggerated motions, if I'm going back to the triplet, it starts to come easier. And your automatic reaction is just start to speed it up. Oh yeah! Oh, I get it. That's the pattern coming into your muscle memory. It's starting to go in. So it's your muscles are sending a message to your brain going, "We got it now." And your brain's going, "Good, it's about time, you morons, let's go, let's bump it up here." Because your brain knows what it wants right away, but your muscles haven't done it yet. You know what I mean? Just like a baby goes, "Hey, look at those big people, they put one foot in front of the other and they walk around without having to be on their hands and knees. How do they do that?" The brain goes, "Yeah, I want some of that." But the limbs are going, and the baby's brain's going, "Come on, you idiots! I haven't got all day. Let's do it." You need to train yourself. You need to be a patient brain to some special needs limbs. and your limbs are special needs. They have special needs. They got to go slow. They got to get the muscle memory right first before they can carry on. Yeah? So patience. You know, everyone who's ever been frustrated in practicing, it's because you're too hard on yourself. Yeah? Your brain is too hard on your limbs. Yeah? Allow yourself to be a chimp. An absolute beginner. And it'll happen. Right?
Bobby, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
My strengths are, because I'm old, experience. I've played with a lot of musicians, and I've been lucky in that. I've played with a lot of great musicians. I think I have a pretty good ear from having listened to a lot of different music over the years. I think my weaknesses are, and then I'm going to be brutally honest here, folks, sloth. I say I practice 3 hours one day, 10 minutes the next, and stuff like that, but time management is a huge weakness of mine, you know? It's like, yeah, I'm going to go practice this thing that I might have even devised in my head. Oh, what if I were to do this? And then like, oh, but something good's on TV. Right? That's probably a weakness of mine. You know what I mean? I find, we were talking about this on the way here, I find that if the work is there and the itinerary is there, I'm not afraid of hard work. I will do whatever you put in front of me. My problem is making that itinerary, right? So you can actually plan your practice, you can actually plan your career a lot better, you know? And we were talking before, it's like if you get lucky in your career, and I've had a lot of luck, man, and when the luck happens, you know, you'll get like a great gig, you'll land a great tour, you'll land a great session, you'll meet more people. If you're prepared for that luck, all the better. Sometimes if you're not prepared for luck, the chance goes away. So be prepared. And I don't mean just playing. I mean being a cool person to get along with. You know, don't just go into a new band and take over the whole thing. That's wrong, you're out. It's like, oh, nobody wants to live with that guy, you know, on a tour bus for 3 weeks. You know, forget it. So, you know, I'm not saying that's a weakness of mine. I'm great on the tour bus. Anyway. That's for the kids as well. Hey! Sorry.
So we're expecting now a video on your website of the...
Yes, and there actually are some videos on the website.
Of the 3, 2, 3 ones that you're going to go back and...
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to book in for a few lessons with Lee. Right, I'm just going to blast up a little bit because I think we've got no time whatsoever. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to take it up there. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to play that drum kit. Anybody name that beat? Anybody?